welcome back to the channel, Pushrodders. Hey, thanks for clicking on the video, much appreciated. Now, if you're looking for a way to support the channel at this point in time, best support you could possibly give, and it's absolutely free. Just do the old like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff. Give that algorithm a good kick in the pants to say, hey, start pushing this channel. Well, with that out of the way, where have I been? I know it's been the best part of nearly 2.5 months. Yeah, look, it's not for the lack of trying to get videos out and all the rest of it, but because Australia has a government problem. Like most countries around the world, we all have government problem. With the ever increasing inflation, higher and more taxes, cost of living crisis, and everything else that's been going on. And hey, with all of that going on, I've got to work my ass off even harder to keep food on the table and a roof over our heads. So like I said, it's not for a lack of trying to get videos out, but yeah, I've just been trying to smash out as much work. Now, I'm not complaining because I've had more customer work come through and all that sort of stuff, so I've just been concentrating on that. But now that it's dropped off just a little bit, I've got some more time up my sleeve and I'm not as just dead tired. So now, Holden floor pans. Now this one's been in the making for quite some time. The customer, I used to work with the fella, become good friends with him, did a bit of work on his little Ford Cortina circuit race car, which you probably see in the background in some of the shots. All the rest of it, a family member passed away, or a family member was trying to get this little Holden done up, and unfortunately they passed away from cancer. So it got passed over to the son of the family member, and it's a little bit of a tribute to that fella, to the fella that passed away. And of course, he was an older gentleman, but he loved reading Street Machine magazine, and like even young guys like us, he's like, yeah, I want those big wheels, I want this, I want that, I want the hamburger with the light, I want that kitchen sink, blah blah blah. So I'm quite chuffed that I was able to help out on this project, and just put a smile on the dial. And hey, it's rough times, so why not? All right, well, let's get into it. Now, this was filmed over, like I said, quite a period of time, because the fella where this car is, he just gets me in whenever he got a bit of time, or when he wasn't going out on holidays, because he's a retired fella. So that's why it took so long. But anyway, let's get into it. You probably would have, if you've been with the channel for a while, you would have seen this car in the shorts. It's a 1964, somewhere around there, Holden. This one's having the hamburger with a lot motor. It's 400 horsepower, 6-cylinder. So yeah, she's gonna have a few herbs. But our job for this video, which for me is probably going to be a day or two, is we've got floor pans to fix up. As you can see, yeah, she's pretty moth eaten and all the rest of it. The other one's pretty average as well. Yeah, on the chassis rail there's rust there and all through there, so yeah, she's pretty cancer ridden. So my goal for today is to cut these floor pans out, but we've got to unpick the seatbelt mount, what's left to unpick, and there's someone's had a crack at welding on the little bracket underneath for the handbrake cable, right here, it's about there. It's part of the chassis rail where the spring perch or mount goes onto. So yeah, we've got a little bit of work ahead of us, and then we've also got to finish up a job we started last year that I didn't get a chance to finish, only because the car had to go off to a couple other different places to have various works done. So anyway, let's get into it.
And Gold 104.3.
Gold 104.3.
From the nuclear holocaust. Hey, before Christmas, I mentioned that you really should watch How to Make Gravy. With the most surprising season ever. Loco Blazing Road, averaging Jetty Road, Dan Slow again, City averaging Tyab Road, Sungower Road. It's also southbound.
We've got the other side cut out.
Your city, your
You can see we've marked it all up.
Gold 104.3.
The midday update. Hi, I'm Georgia Love. Victorians are being urged to stay safe.
Let's
and
cut
remain
this one out.
vigilant during
Alrighty, push rodders. Well, that's the floors cut out. Yeah, we've got a bit of paint in there. Got that cleaned up. Most of the rust and crap cut out of it. So when the customer gets me back again, which will probably be another couple of days, maybe a week away, we'll take this up then. But yeah, she's definitely starting to be a Flintstone mobile. And the little square there, that's where I had to cut one of the handbrake cable brackets, or whatever you want to call it, that hold the cable and that sort of deal. And yeah, they're looking all pretty average. Same deal on that. Cutting a few brackets off that were needed. It's just easier to do it that way than try and pick them off, because yeah. Already push rodders. Well, it's the next day from where we left off just a moment ago. I've already made a start. Cleaned all the body deadener off the bottom of the floor so it can be cleaned up and ready to be welded. Once we get the floor panels cut to size and welded in, we'll do rust repair for that, rust repair for this section here and in there, and this section needs to be cut out and redone again for the seatbelt. After about a good hour and about an hour and a quarter, we managed to clean off all the body deadener and all the absolute crap, and now we can start offering up our new floor pans. So one thing I've come across is we've got a little gap here. So what I'm going to do is trim a slight section off of there, because we have got plenty of decent floor pan up front, so we can afford to trim a little bit off, and then we'll go from underneath and trace out our hole that needs to be cut out. Then we can cut our panel to suit.
Visit over 600 destinations worldwide in this small luxurious ship. Enjoy the finest cuisine at sea and exceptional service.
We've got our panel reasonably fitting. Yeah, I know there's a bit of a gap there and all the rest of it, but hey, we can adapt and overcome. So the plan is get some tack welds along here and along there. Where we haven't tack weld, I'm going to get the thin cut-off wheel and just run the cut-off wheel, and it'll trim both panels to the correct shape and all the rest of it that I need. So I'll trim a little bit, tack, trim, tack, and go do that right the way around. And once we've finally finished trimming it, we'll finish up doing all the tacks or welding it in. Then there's a little gap here we'll just have to make a little panel for, although we might be able to just hammer that little bit of floor up and sort of make it work there, but we'll get there. The floor pan stamped. There's an edge here that's poking up the wrong way, so we've got to flip it 180 so it's underneath, and then we can drill holes for spot welds. So that's what we're doing there with the thing, and we're just slowly working it over, and then I'll get the hammer and dolly and just work it flat. And this piece we made up, now that is flat along here, but I put these couple of little dimples in to follow the little stamp lines, just for a bit more welding adhesion. So So far we've just got it tacked in a little bit. Look, I know it looks rough as hell and all the rest of it, but that's cool. We've got a lot of work to do yet. As you saw just a moment ago, we're cutting out this section here. We'll get that all formed up. So what I'm doing is I'm not trying to tack weld the thing properly in. Try and get all these major sections made and all tacked together, and then we'll finish weld everything. So like this gap here, I'll end up having to put a little bit of material in there, weld it. Gives me a little bit more area for the weld to adhere, soaks up the hair a little bit more, and it saves blowing through this old, what is it, 60 something year old metal. So I mean, the car's 1964. So yeah, and it's the same with the other side. It looks a bit garbagey and that, but it's the same sort of deal. I just got to keep cutting back to where I can get decent metal. So after this patch gets tacked in, then we've got to do this section all along here, because I don't know, you probably see that little pinhole. Yeah, it's all that thin on the trans tunnel, so I've got to cut across here, and that's where the seatbelt mount is. So we've got to literally lop it off about here, but all I'm thinking is I'll just make a full piece to go in there. And So the panels have got a whole heap of little indentations for strength and all the rest of it, as you know, when they come out of the die, that sort of deal. So we've got to do that with the hammer and dolly and all that sort of stuff. So that's what I'm doing now, and I've only got a hammer and dolly sets here. So we're just using anything we've got at our disposal. So the lawn as a sandbag, and part of the retaining wall, it's got a little indentation in it. That's helped on a couple other panels. So yeah, use what we've got. Now we'll go and check it. We'll check the depth. We'll just do a little bit at a time, and we'll go from there. Figured out what I need to do with this floor, so we're going to start tacking this piece of the floor in, and we're just going to have to slowly bend it and manipulate it and all the rest of it to the curvature of the floor in the car, because the way it's been stamped, it's not quite right. It's like it's nearly twisted sort of thing. So this end here, which is meant to go up to there, is sitting the best part of about 5mm lower than what it should be, or yeah, 5 to 10mm lower than what it should be, when all of this section here is relatively straight. Now I've got my measurements off of here, how high the floor is and all the rest of it, because I didn't cut the whole entire floor section out there, so I can use that as a bit of a reference point, measurement wise anyway. So anyway, let's start tacking this thing in, and we'll go from there. Alright, well that's the right hand rear floor being put in, and the patch panels and that sort of thing. I've just got to grind back the welds, and then we can paint, and I'm going to use bed liner over the top as a protective, you know, rust preventative, underneath and inside the cabin here. It goes for the left hand side too. We've filled in the piece of the bracing here, and we've just about finished forming up the patch panel for the gear stick hole. Now once we dummy fit the engine and gearbox to get tail shaft lengths and all that sort of stuff, I will drill a nice round hole in there for the gear stick. And I don't know, it'll probably come up on camera. You can probably see where they've chopped a section out of the gearbox cross member. Same on the other side there. So we'll have to rip out the cross member, clean it up, and weld in some pieces there to strengthen it. And we'll have a look what else they've bastardised on it and fix it. Alrighty, push rodders. Well, I've just taken a quick break from all the grinding and pulled the cross member out. Now this originally had a Aussie 4-speed in it, and the fellow, he's putting a Toyota Celica 5-speed, and yeah, so instead of repairing this cross member, we've got to modify it and repair it all at the same time. Anyway, I'll let him know. And yeah, it is what it is. I didn't bother filming it, but dummied up the gearbox to an old block that's in the car. We've got to drill a hole for the gear stick to go through and part of the gearbox, because that's in a different position now. Once we get that done, then we can offer this up to the car and start doing cut marks and where this is going to sit and all the other good stuff. So let's get into it. Well, the chuck on me drill just shit itself, and the poor old hole saw, she's, well, blunt would even say it's blunt. So we well, just got out the angle grinder, finished the cut, and we'll go over it with the die grinder and clean it all up. So yeah, a bit of a pain in the ass. It would have been nice to have a nice hole, not a half-assed thing, but we'll clean it up, we'll get it looking pretty. We've got the hole done. We've got another snag now, so let me get under this bloody thing. As you can see, the gearbox is hard up against the bracing. So what I'm going to have to do is cut that out and flip it upside down, or something the likes, or put in some new plate, and that it should give us a little extra room as well, which is the thickness that you can see just right in the front there. But before we get into that, we'll start cutting up the cross member. So yeah, we've got about that much chop out of it, and we'll put it back up. That'll give us a little bit more room, and then we'll go from there.
Well, since a moment ago, it's been about another week and a half, and we're back here again. Now we've cut out the bracing, and we're just making up a new patch panel, or template for our patch panel. You can probably see the gearbox out there, to fit up the gearbox. And yeah, I know it looks pretty average at the moment, but we'll get all that welded up properly and sanded back. That's one of the jobs to do underneath. And yeah, once we've got this section welded in, then we can refit our gearbox, and then we can start having a look at modifying the cross member. So this is where we're at, push rodders. Yeah, we've managed to get the hole cut. Needs a little bit more of a clean up, but that's cool. We just need it in the basic position. So yeah, we're still now, as you can see, I chopped that other small section out of the cross member. We've got the mount there. Now let's see if I can. You'll have to let's see if I can do this with one hand. Alrighty. Shut that in so I don't make a mess. We've still got a bit of, sorry the camera ring's not that flash, but as you can see we've still got a fair bit of room there to make up. So this center section here we're going to cut out, and we'll bolt the ends to the body, and then we can start making up a centre section. But yeah, otherwise we've gone as far as we can with cutting sections out of the body, like the cross member there, which we've welded in new steel. I've just got to clean up all the welds, and of course the gear stick hole. So we're making progress on our cross member. So we've formed up this section, which is taking shape of the mount. Now what I've done, because this is reasonably thick plate, is I've just scored it with the cut-off wheel. I haven't cut right the way through. When I'm finished forming it all up and all the rest of it, I'll weld all this up so it's all nice and strong, and yeah, we'll go from there. So I've deliberately made the panel a lot longer than what I need, so because there's going to be another couple of bends yet, and you've got to take into account the, I forget what you call it, but you got to take into account the radii of the bend and all the other stuff. So, well, that's pretty much the cross member done. Now, this old metal, it's got a lot of impurities and crap through it, so some of the welds were a little bit porosity. So, but I've managed to overcome that, which is good. We'll let this cool down. We'll grind the welds back and everything, make it look all nice and pretty. Now these welds here, they're from where we scored the metal with the grinder so we could bend it more easily to shape. As you can see, it's not too bad. Now it sort of looks a little bit on the piss, only because this is to suit this application, so it was bolted up to the car, underneath the car and all the rest of it. So, but it is all straight and it bolts up, fits, does what it needs to do. So while I'm letting that cool down, I'm going to unbolt the drive shaft off the diff, fit the front yoke to it, then we'll get everything assembled back in, and then we can start getting measurements for our drive shaft length. Once we've got that dialed in, that's pretty much it for me today. I've got to go off and do another job. Alrighty, push rodders. Well, that's the top half of the other one done. We've got need another coat of that. That's what I'm using, top and bottom. We've found all our little pinholes and bits and pieces, so we've just finished welding those up. We're just grinding it back underneath and on top. Then we'll put a little bit of just a thin skim of filler over where all the welds are, and we'll sand them back just like what we've done that one, and we'll do the same underneath and paint them. So yeah, from now to literally in a moment, I'm not sure how many weeks will be, or it could be a month, whatever, but we'll see you then to wrap this up. Alrighty, push rodders, well, that's the end of the floor pans. We patched up a couple little holes up in the passenger front footwell there, and we managed to finish all these up. So, look, I know you paint and body guys are going to go, oh yeah, it's an average job, and most likely it probably is. I'm not a paint and body guy, I'm a mechanic, so, but look, the customer's really happy. It's another piece done in the car. Yeah, so all in all, just finished sanding back the body filler that we had put on, and gave it a coat of matte black paint and some bed liner, and that's it. So did the same underneath. Yeah, it's a bit hard to see, but so it's all nicely sealed up, and it's with the bed liner, it's less likely to rust and all the other crap than this sort of paint on tar stuff. So I made the mistake of doing that with Bouncing Betty, our HR Holden gasser,
and it trapped moisture in between the actual tar body deadener stuff and the metal started rusting. So, but anyway, it is what it is. Alrighty, well, I'm going to get on to the steering, finishing up the steering, and that's it. Well, push rodders, that's pretty much the end of the floor pan saga. I dare say I'll be going back there every now and again to give the fella a hand with setting up the rest of the steering, suspension, fitting the engine, getting it all dialed in before it goes off to the chassis dyno. I believe the place that was building the engine is also the place that he's going to chassis dyno this car. So look, we'll see what happens. If I can get some footage of it all, I'll try to, but the fella, because I've been working with him, he doesn't really want to be on camera, so we've got to respect his wishes. But we'll see how we go. I'd really like to get up to, I forget the place now, I think it's in Shepparton or somewhere. It's a good 2 or 3 hour drive away from where the car is at the moment. And see, watch this thing get sorted out on the engine dyno, tuned up, run in the whole shooting match. And look, worst comes to worst, don't cross your fingers, don't bank on it, but we might even see if we can swing a bit of an interview with the engine shop. So we'll see. I can't make any promises, but anyway, thanks for watching. What are you waiting for? Go and get your hands dirty. We'll see you next video.